Remy's heart pounded as he slipped the manila folder into his coat pocket, the corners of the file dangerously sharp against his ribs. For weeks, Sheila's poisonous whispers had burrowed into his mind like vipers, convincing him that Luna's fragile psyche was far more dangerous than anyone suspected, and that her claims of innocence in the tragedies that haunted her past were lies. Sheila had set him on this path, planting doubts about Luna's every move, encouraging him to dig deeper into her life. What began as a mild unease grew into a full-blown compulsion. Remy had tracked down Luna's psychiatric records, using old contacts in New Mexico where she'd fled years ago after the first of two mysterious deaths. Under the guise of helping her piece together a shattered past, he'd located the confidential file, noting with grim satisfaction the mention of her involuntary commitment and the two coroners' reports, victims found in desert scrubland. Their deaths officially ruled accidental, but in Luna's file, the hand of foul play was all too clear. The discovery jolted Remy's loyalty to its core. He confronted Luna that very night, his voice low and urgent as he brandished the file between them. She denied everything, her eyes filling with tears that stung him in the chest, but he'd already seen the writing on the wall. Sheila's voice echoed in his mind. She's unstable. She'll kill again. By dawn, Remy had reached out to Detective Alex Sanchez, a no-nonsense investigator in the Los Angeles PD's Major Crimes Unit, passing him photocopies of the mental health reports and coroner's summaries. Sanchez, seasoned by years of carpet bombing the city's darkest corners, wasted no time. Within 24 hours, he secured a search warrant and an arrest warrant for Luna, now wanted for questioning over the two unsolved New Mexico homicides. Meanwhile, the Forrester International headquarters hummed with anticipation. Steffy Forrester, ever the consummate professional, was days away from unveiling her latest couture collection, a line inspired by ethereal textures and vibrant hues rumored to revolutionize runway fashion. Stylists flitted about, models rehearsed poses under glittering chandeliers, and reporters clamored for front-row seats. The climax of the evening would be a live-streamed showcase, projected onto giant screens around the globe, promising unprecedented exposure for the storied fashion house. Steffy, adorned in midnight silk and diamonds, moved through the crowd with practiced ease, her excitement tempered only by a lingering ache for Finn that still throbbed beneath the surface of her steely composure. Backstage, Luna crouched behind a row of dressing screens, gun concealed beneath the folds of her black jumpsuit. She had arrived under the guise of a last-minute wardrobe assistant, claiming she could help with quick fittings. No one suspected her. Not Remy, who had betrayed her trust. Not Steffy, who was too caught up in her own grief and triumph to question the presence of a newcomer. Luna's lips pressed into a thin line as she rehearsed the moment in her mind. When Steffy stepped onto the runway to accept the applause, Luna would raise her gun and fire, shattering the spectacle and avenging every wound Steffy had inflicted on her heart. The plan was as cold and precise as the metal in her hand. But just as Luna slid from behind the curtains, the heavy door to the prep area burst open. Detectives in tactical vests flooded the room, badges flashing under the bright lights. "Luna Hernandez, you're under arrest," Sanchez barked into his radio. Luna stilled, shock and betrayal warring in her eyes as Remy stepped forward, his face pale under the glare of overhead spotlights. "Why, Remy," she whispered, voice cracking. He had no answer. Not one that would pierce the whirlwind of guilt swirling inside him. He simply watched as Sanchez cuffed Luna's trembling wrists, pulled her upright, and led her toward the exit, her protests drowned out by the stunned gasps of onlookers. Within moments, the unfolding drama was broadcast live. Cameras that had been poised to capture Steffy's grand entrance pivoted to follow Luna's arrest. The footage beamed instantly to thousands of screens worldwide. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended within seconds. Hashtag Luna arrested. Hashtag Forrester scandal. Hashtag fashion nightmare. Each fresh update feeding the frenzy as viewers speculated about Luna's past and her motive for targeting Steffy. The pristine image of Forrester International, already bruised by Finn's tragic death, was now engulfed in a storm of scandal and betrayal. Steffy, having sensed a disturbance backstage, emerged just in time to see Luna's silhouette being escorted through the crowd. The sight struck her like a physical blow. Applause died on the stage, replaced by a dissonant murmur that rippled through the assembled guests. Flashbulbs popped furiously as photographers craned for the perfect shot of Luna in handcuffs. Steffy's face drained of color. Her carefully styled hair seemed suddenly inappropriate, her couture gown a costume too fragile for the moment's raw emotion. She stood frozen, the world collapsing around her. Remy watched, unable to meet her gaze. Sheila's counsel had delivered him to this crossroads, exposing Luna's dark secret or preserving his loyalty to her, and in doing so, preserving his own peace of mind. Now neither option seemed bearable. Luna's anguished eyes met his across the press of police officers and horrified guests, and in that instant, he understood the full scope of his betrayal. He had destroyed the one person who had given him unconditional love, only to guard a lie spun by the woman who had never truly cared for him. Detective Sanchez guided Luna out to the waiting police cruiser. Handcuffed and still in her jumpsuit, she stumbled over a loose cable, but Sanchez caught her arm as the crowd parted around her. The live stream captured every detail: the slick shine of the patrol car, the red and blue lights reflected against the sleek marble floors of the Forrester lobby, the faint wail of distant sirens. The camera lingered on Luna's face, eyes wide, cheeks wet with tears, lips trembling into a silent scream for mercy. Steffy, finally regaining her senses, turned to Remy, her voice a brittle whisper. "How could you?" He found his words stuck in his throat, guilt choking him. He wanted to shout back that he had done it for her safety, for the safety of everyone, but the absurdity of that assertion lay bare between them. Luna had protected him more than once, while he had traded her for Sheila's spiteful counsel. The live broadcast cut to a commercial break, filling the lull with a jarring montage of upcoming Forrester lines and sponsor messages. But the damage was irreparable. High society gossip blogs lit up with scathing commentary, stock prices for Forrester International wavered, and the hashtag Luna arrested maintained its iron grip on trending charts. Fashion critics speculated that Steffy's reputation would never recover from this public calamity. Rival design houses prepared their next campaigns to capitalize on the scandal. Legal analysts debated the evidence that would follow Luna to court, framing her as either a victim of mental illness driven to desperation or a cold-blooded conspirator who'd plotted her revenge with cinematic precision. As Luna was driven away, Remy lost sight of her face in the rearview mirror's reflection, but carried the image of her betrayal etched into his mind. Sheila watched from a discreet corner of the showroom, her lips curved into a thin, ambiguous smile, triumphant, yet tinged with the sour aftertaste of what her manipulations had wrought. Steffy, shaken but unbowed, steeled herself for the inevitable fallout. The night that was meant to crown her career had instead torn apart the fragile alliances of love, loyalty, and trust that bound them all. Forrester International's grand facade had cracked under the weight of hidden sins, revealing a fractured family, an empire at risk, and a community left reeling by the live broadcast downfall of one of its own. In the aftermath, whispers filled every echoing corridor of the fashion world. Who would step up to fill the void Luna left? Could Steffi salvage her launch and her legacy? Would the courtroom drama that awaited Luna become the next spectacle? And above all, who would bear the scars of this night for the rest of their days? The answers lay in the unfolding chapters of a saga marked by betrayal, redemption, and the unrelenting glare of the public eye, where every secret, no matter how deeply buried, was destined to explode into view the moment the spotlight hit. In the days that followed the live-streamed arrest, the Forrester world spun on a tilt, every familiar face now cast in a new, uneasy light. Steffi awoke each morning to a barrage of headlines: Fashion Queen falls from grace, Luna's dark past revealed, Remy's heartless betrayal, and though her heart still ached with loss for Finn, she steeled herself to fight. She called an emergency board meeting at Forrester Creations, her voice calm yet resolute as she addressed the shaken executives and designers. "We will weather this storm together." The collection goes on. We honor creativity, not chaos. Orders rippled through the company, runway rehearsals resumed under tighter security, models were vetted anew, and press releases were drafted to frame the brand's resilience rather than its scandal. But beneath the polished surface, fear and uncertainty festered. Client contracts were paused. Luxury retailers reconsidered orders, and rival houses quietly whispered of Forrester's impending collapse. Meanwhile, Detective Alex Sanchez dug into Luna's background with relentless intensity, compiling evidence not only of the 2 New Mexico deaths, but also of the attempted assault on Steffi. Each coded journal entry, psychiatric evaluation, and witness interview was cataloged in meticulous detail as the district attorney prepared charges: 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and violations of restraining orders tied to Luna's stalking of Steffi. Luna sat in her cell with eyes hollowed by shock, her thoughts a tangle of regret and rage: regret for the lives lost, rage at Remy for betraying her when she had trusted him above all others. Sheila, from her own distant prison wing, received clandestine notes via corrupt guards, gloating that her hand had orchestrated this downfall. Yet even she could sense the hollowness of victory as Luna's silence in the face of the charges only deepened the mystery of her psyche. In the Forrester mansion, Steffi confronted Remy one stormy afternoon, rain slashing at the windows like nature's own indictment. He knelt before her in the grand foyer, head bowed and voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Steffi. I thought I was saving you, but I destroyed her life instead." Steffi's eyes, rimmed red, bore into him as lightning illuminated her couture gown. "You saved no one," she whispered. "You broke a heart that once believed in you. Now you must live with that." Remy left the mansion with his own shattered reflection staring back at him in the hallway mirror, his loyalty to Sheila costing him the woman he had loved and the trust of the world he had tried to protect. Courtroom proceedings became the next theater of tragedy. Luna was led, handcuffs clicking, into the cavernous hall where spectators, reporters, and family members packed every seat. Steffi and Liam sat side by side, their shared pain fostering a fragile truce. She wore a tailored black suit, he a solemn gray, and both stared straight ahead as the DA presented the grisly evidence. Luna, summoned to the stand, met Remy's gaze first, then Steffi's, and for a moment the charged air pulsed with unsaid truths. Under cross-examination, Luna's voice quavered as she admitted to forging psychiatric entries to mask her involvement in the New Mexico incidents, confessing that her desperation for recognition had twisted into a compulsion she could no longer control. The defense countered with arguments of mental illness and procedural abuses in accessing her medical records, but the jury's expression hardened with each revelation. Outside, the media circus raged, paparazzi cameras flashing at every recess, talk show hosts debating Luna's fate versus corporate accountability for the security failures at Forrester. Social media lit up with both sympathy for a damaged woman and outrage at her blood-soaked past. In the hushed quiet of her dressing-room-turned-office, Steffi penned personal letters to key buyers, pleading for continued support, while Liam negotiated with record label executives to launch Hayes' charity concert, an event designed to spotlight mental health awareness and raise funds for psychiatric care, a direct response to the tragedy they had all endured. That charity concert would end up being the first step in healing. News outlets heralded it as a testament to the power of forgiveness and community, and even Sheila's name was invoked as a cautionary footnote, proof that unchecked vengeance only begets more destruction. When the jury finally returned its verdict, Luna stood, shoulders shaking, as the foreperson's voice cut through the silence, guilty on all counts. The gavel fell like thunder. Steffi, Liam, and Hayes felt the weight of relief and sorrow collide. Justice for Finn and the New Mexico victims, but at the price of a life irrevocably altered. In the months that followed, Luna was whisked away to serve her sentence, her once vibrant spirit now quieted behind prison walls. Steffi channeled her grief into the next season's designs, each gown a tribute to Finn's memory and each runway show a statement of endurance. Forrester International stabilized under her leadership, its brand reborn in resilience rather than scandal. Remy, ostracized by the family he had betrayed, retreated to a quiet life of atonement, volunteering at Hayes' charity events, offering public apologies, and slowly earning back a measure of grace through genuine service. In the end, the storm that Luna's betrayal ignited revealed fissures in every heart it touched, but it also forged unexpected alliances and unbreakable bonds. Steffi and Liam rediscovered a shared purpose in raising Hayes, forging a blended family bound not by blood alone, but by love tempered in sorrow. The fashion world, ever hungry for drama, moved on to the next spectacle, but the lessons of that tumultuous season, the dangers of secrets, the necessity of trust, and the redemptive power of truth remained imprinted on every fabric of their lives, reminding them all that behind every glamorous facade lies a fragile human story waiting to be told.